Ready. Hey everyone. Oh, little caught off guard. Friday. Today, welcome back to American Perspective with me, your host, Noél Roberts, Patriot Mom007 here in Arizona, and want to welcome you back on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Another really amazing show. I would say great, but it's not a great show. It is going to be a really educational show today, and something about where I live, actually locally here in sort of my neighborhood where my kids grew up. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. It's pretty tense subject and not quite the show we usually have. So it's going to even look a little different at the beginning because normally we do, big national news stories, so much going on, and that's no different today. Actually, I was going to pull up. I heard this morning, Supreme Court ruled in favor on so many issues for this administration, one being the most important, and I'm sure you've heard, but if not, then they ruled that the lower courts, right, the 700 plus, they're not regional judges, but the district judges around the country don't have actual jurisdiction as they've been pretending they have had for 4 years. To overrule or rechange or do anything other than what the commander in chief has put in place for the security and safety of our country and our citizens within. That would include the deportations, all the ones they've been trying to strike down that you've been hearing about illegally. They've been doing it illegally as it was, thought to be. And SCOTUS today came back and said, shame on you guys, can't do it anymore across the board. So I would say he want a blanket ruling on so many things that are going to be important. And then hopefully whatever they put together, they take to Congress, of course, and they continue the process, because without that, what he does is, you know, not that great in the end. So I think we'll probably see some things go permanent, is my opinion, and I'm sure theirs as well. So we'll look for that to keep happening. There'll still be, I'm sure, little scuffles here and there, but overall it should be smooth sailing, except that birthright citizenship situation. But I'm sure they'll have strong cases, and I guess they can't win everything. So congratulations, Trump administration. We are so thrilled that you have a very competent team working for you. Todd Blanche, his old attorney that represented him through all those trials and ridiculous hearings they dragged him through, was standing up with Pam Bondi today. And so he's been working really hard the last few years, and I mean, it's really great. They had a really big payoff win. So we're going to just touch on that because what we're talking about today is kind of heavy subject matter, and it's going to be hard to go from like some fun, crazy video like I show you about all the things happening around the country to this. So we're just not going to do that. It's the emotional switch out's just going to be too hard for me, and it wouldn't make really any sense for anybody else. So you see a chair over here today. We've expanded. Thank you, Robert from Chula Vista Live Data. He helps me out there in California every week to make this happen. And he was no different last night. We were here till midnight trying to reconfigure everything to have someone in studio for the first time today. And we successfully did it. But the next morning after you turn everything back on, it doesn't always work. So we're back to the old ways, except we've added a chair and we've added a person in studio. So that part did work out. So he's amazing. I couldn't do this 100,000%. I could not do this without him. So check him out on X and Facebook at JData17, all his live streams, Arizona Live Data channel. There's a ton of channels, Washington State. I think we got Wyoming, California, San Diego, Chula Vista. They're all live data behind it. So get on his websites. You can find everything there, and on his channels on X and Facebook, you can find everything there. And please subscribe to something wherever you happen to live. He does bring you all the live, unedited happenings from around your city, depending on who's reporting there. Audra Morgan, who is a guest here, she does a lot with him out in California with trafficking. So just check it out. Lots going on, and it's good to see it uncut and not edited like everywhere else. So with that, let's see, where are we going to start? Today for our news story, so I'm going to go back centric to Arizona. I do a lot in Arizona. I've been sort of stepping back from the politics in Arizona and what's happening here in our state, just because there's just so much to talk about. It's really difficult. And I'm not sure everybody everywhere wants to hear just about Arizona every week. But this week, because of what we're going to talk about today with the mom who's here. I looked online. I was horrified what I found last night to find some stories for you guys. And I know Robert's loving me because I gave him the links that are like other people's links. So we'll see what he did with that. I don't know. I just throw stuff at him at midnight and assume it's going to work out today. So we're going to just rock right into it because we started a couple minutes late. So this first video is a news story here in Arizona. And so these are both going to be Arizona stories at the top. There's a 12-year-old Arizona boy. Phew, this is going to be a hard show, right? So who was assaulted recently, May 11th. So April, May seems to be big months for this happening here nearby us. And that's what our show is about today with Kirstin, our guest, who'll come on in a little bit. But this first young boy, this is awful. So warning, some of the videos I'm going to show today are going to be disturbing. If you're a parent, certainly. If you're a mom, 100%. And if you do or don't have kids, either way, it can probably be very effective negatively on your Friday. So just warning there. But let's see what happened to him, and then I'll tell you why we're watching it on one. Yeah. Oh, he's bringing it up though. So this has been going on for a while, you guys. It's not just here. This is an epidemic across the nation with our young children. You see the gangs in New York. They always show the highlights, right? The protests, and then they go into gangs, and then they carjack or something, and they're, in a ring of criminals. That's how they always describe them. Oftentimes, it's a certain socioeconomic group of kids. That is not the case here in Arizona, by the way. And thanks. And so this is what we're highlighting today so that all the parents around the country, whoever was watching, again, I always say Patriot_Mom007 on all the channels. If you don't want to watch me, that's not what I'm hoping for. I'm really just hoping to share information. So if you just hit the share button, like, oh, she's terrible, just hit the share button. It's fine. I won't judge you. It's the information that we're trying to get out. So please just do that. But if you want to subscribe and share and follow and listen and chat with me when I can get the chat working here, hopefully in a minute, that'd be awesome too. But there's no pressure. So let's see. Robert has that up now. So let's look at what happened to this poor young boy.
You want to come up behind me and kick me in the back? No, so he got you bad. I don't know what's
Okay, so yeah, short clip, thank God. 23 seconds, long enough to be thoroughly disturbed already at the start of this show. I'm so sorry about that. I don't really like to bring you negativity, but this is just such a horrible thing that's happening, and it's happening everywhere. So this is outside on a playground, some community area. You've got a mix of kids, certainly of ages. Robert, can you roll it back and then just stop when he kind of runs away and this other kid in black comes at him from the side off camera? Can you do that? Is that possible? I don't know if you can or not. Oh, here we're going to put him to the test. It's always a new thing. Let's see. I just want to highlight this. So let's see. I'll just point something out because it's not about I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. So that kid who came up in the black, standing over him right there. So he is not young. He is an older kid. The kid in the red, he also might be well, he looks about the same age, but this kid in the black is I'm feeling much older. Just by the way he moves, just physicality. And then the younger boy came in. Now, of course, everybody's going to be about the race, right? I don't care about the race. Anybody hitting anybody, it doesn't matter what color you are. So that's not a relevant fact at all in any of this ever. I just want to point that out. I'm not pointing that out. I'm pointing out the youth of the kids, but then the older boy came in. So I'm assume it's an older brother. I guess if you're a delinquent older brother, you have delinquent younger siblings. So that's how that sometimes goes. Unfortunately, now we will talk about race for a second because this is Arizona. And I don't know any white supremacists running around town, just so you know. It's really not like that out here. It is a variety of people from south to north where we live out here. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Socioeconomically, it's hard to tell from a photograph or a video where these kids live in the valley. That doesn't look like North Phoenix. I'm going to guess it's somewhere in mid to South Phoenix, maybe the East Valley. Um, so there's nice areas everywhere. It doesn't matter really probably how much money you have, but the upbringing is probably the biggest part here. You know, fathers in the homes, never helpful, not when they're not in the homes, um, or in jail or out of jail, or they were delinquent as young, younger kids. So all of that plays a role, but the overarching problem is it's all translating to this next generation in such grand, like it's crazy that so many kids think it's okay to go after other kids. I mean, girls in schools, here we had that happen a few years ago. Even when my kids were in school, we had that happen. And Kirstin, our mom who's here today, is dealing with it with her own son, but she's going to also help talk about advocacy and what she's run across in just the last couple months. She's been dealing with it. But our second video, just to put a bow on it, because it just happens here, it's happening in a classroom. This is also in Arizona. Somebody filmed another student harming someone sitting at their desk at the computer screen with a chair. So go ahead, Robert, when you're ready with number 2.
Put it down now.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shit.
Hey,
So he just smacks him with the chair.
put it down now.
Oh, shoot.
Put the
doesn't
chair
drop
down
the chair.
now. It's not even funny.
And
Oh, shoot.
Put the chair down now. Put the chair down
shoot.
now. Put the chair down now.
Oh.
so if you saw that, he hit the kid in the back with a chair. They're just like the computer screens in computer lab. Obviously, maybe words were exchanged before class. I mean, somebody has to guess something. Or this man, this young boy, I mean, he almost looks like a man. He's definitely a sophomore, maybe a junior. Maybe he has some issues at home, emotional issues. I don't know. But he smacks the kid over the head with a chair. The other young boy goes down on his desk, and the teacher says, put the chair down. He doesn't respond at all. He doesn't move. He says, put the chair down. That's not funny, the teacher. And then the boy with the chair says, oh, yes, it is. Right? So, and then he finally puts the chair down. Now, they say in the article there was no consequences of punishment for this boy. I don't really believe that. There's a zero tolerance policy here in Arizona across all the schools. I mean, you can, whoever fights, and usually it's both parties, even if somebody attacks someone, and this is firsthand information I'm giving you personally from my dealings with my kids in school. They don't care who starts it. They don't care who finishes it. They don't even care what the circumstances are. They don't care if 2 boys jump 1 boy. All 3 boys get suspended, even on video. I can assure you that is what happens here. So, problem, right, Kirstin? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's the biggest problem that we see as moms. And it makes me so sad. God, it makes me to think of my boys back in school and what sometimes went on with other kids in the fight videos I would see. Unbelievable. Teachers standing around, nobody doing anything. Nobody wants to jump in. Kids don't want to jump in, which, they honestly probably shouldn't because it's dangerous. But somebody has to jump in, I suppose, eventually. And our kids are just getting hurt very badly. Now, Kirstin's sitting off screen. I'm going to play this next video after we run, Oh, you know what, you guys? This today, I never have a good shot, the Mycronic silver. Let's see. All right, so this is a topical spray, and and let's see if it goes. Okay, close enough. You'll see the commercial. So I cut my hair. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I cut my hair a couple weeks ago, but now I have to use a curling iron near my face, and I'm not adept at it. It's not my thing. So I'm burning myself pretty much all the time. So I got myself really good the other day. And so I have the topical healing. And actually, I don't know. I got to call Jeff Adam, the founder of this, because I was using the Oleozone. So this is a balm, right? Odorless, colorless, everything. Mycronic silver, super clean products. There are no additives whatsoever. We talk about the technology behind silver. It's been around since the 50s. There's medical journaling all over about this back in the day. Then they pretty much ceased to share the information, and then they went to pharmaceuticals. So you have to buy drugs that kill you. So going back to basics, I'm going to start using the topical healing on my face, but I did start using this yesterday. It doesn't burn. There's no burning or anything. There's nothing in it to burn. And you can use it also every which way you want on cuts, scrapes, burns that you get in your body. So anyway, Robert's going to let us see that, and we'll be back with one more video before we talk to our guest today.
Silver has been used for centuries for natural human health and has proven to be an effective alternative as a defense against germs, bruises, bacteria, and disease. Mycronic silver technology is superior to other silver products and is specially formulated to work with your immune system for an affordable, natural health choice. Check out mychronicsilver.net today and see why customers are choosing Mycronic Silver, fast-acting and reliable. That's mychronicsilver.net.
Okay, guys, 10% off anything you buy. Patriot Mom007 is the code. And I am encouraging you to get one product. Get the dietary supplement. You just take a swig of it every day. There's no taste. Get the topical healing. It's burn season in Arizona. If you have kids, get off the Tropic Suns or I don't even know the brands. I don't buy them. I haven't bought them for years. The lotions and potions that you put on, they're all toxin. Guess what? Your skin is the biggest organ in your entire body. If you didn't know, this is back in the biology days, way back 30 years ago. But I do know that for a fact. So everything you put in your body and your hair, your scalp, the colors, our colors that we do, if there's chemicals in them that are not good for you, they will absorb into your skin or your brain or parts of your organs, your liver, of course. The function that it does is clean everything out. So try to be more thoughtful about what you're putting in your body and on your children's skin. In Arizona, they slather them with the lotions, which they have to. But if you're killing the kids slowly, I'm just going to suggest a different option and try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, you have nothing to lose except their life. So, so that's my joke, because now, gosh, Kirstin, it's so sad. So it's gonna be super hard, super hard. You guys know I am really close to my boys. I talk about them all the time. I'm here in my podcast studio because I confiscated a room in their house. Not just for the podcasting, for other reasons too, because mom tip, anyone who has a kid, and if you guys are doing any kind of side projects, confiscate their room if my kids live together, and it avoids couch surfing from everybody else. So it's a little safety mechanism for me to know that they're just always safe and there's no random strangers in their house. But so this is a really short video. This is what we're talking about today. Kirstin, last name or no? Okay, doesn't matter. I mean, you'll see the articles. It's out there. So Kirstin lives near me. Come to find out, very close. In fact, my salon, I've been in 30 years in salon industry. She actually lives almost across the street, basically, from where my salon is located in Cave Creek. So we found that out. A friend of ours, mutual friend, put me in contact with her. I had not heard about this happening, and this is happening at a mall called Desert Ridge Marketplace. It's in North Phoenix, and in North Phoenix, once you get past a certain area of town, North Scottsdale, right? Everybody knows North Scottsdale, so North Phoenix is like 10 minutes further. It's going toward Cave Creek, kind of out in the country, and we think it's a safe bubble out there. All of us, I'm sure, do. And I used to keep my kids on the north side of the freeway there. It breaks our city. And so the north side of the freeway, I always felt really safe. Everybody has horses and ranches, and it's newer and cleaner and better, supposedly. Well, those days are over. And this is happening now across the country and in our bubble included. So this happened on May 5th this year. May 5th? Yes. April, I'm sorry, April 5th. April 5th this year, just a couple months ago. And this is her son in this video with, you're going to hear a girl, his friend, videotaping and screaming at these other boys, four of them from another high school who got a hold of him. It was four, yes? Yeah, four boys got a hold of him in the parking lot at the mall. And this happened. Go ahead, Robert.
Off of him! Stop! That's enough! That's enough! Hitting all your faces. That's enough. That's enough.
Okay, so it's oriented wrong. Robert, are you going to fix that? Can you fix it, or is that possible? He's going to try to fix it while I'm talking. But this epidemic, I mean, you get the picture. We can bring it on so you can have a clearer shot for comprehensive conversation with Kirstin. But, you know, these kids are just roaming, going to places, whether it's the community center, the parks, the first video I showed you, in the classrooms. I mean, there's no stopgap for these kids. They just don't know how to regulate themselves, I guess. They have no moral guide at home teaching them what is right or wrong, or putting that in their ear at a young enough age that when they get to the point of being physical, that they don't do these things out of anger or out of fun, I think is why they do it, or coolness, or they think that they see it nationally in the bigger groups with the adults doing it. So I guess they think they can just get away with it. It's a combination of all those things is my opinion. So Robert has it correctly oriented. Thank you for that. And I'm going to have him bring it up again.
This is to the cops. This is the cops. Get the fuck off of him! Stop! That's enough! That's enough! Hitting all your faces. That's enough. That's enough.
Whoa. Ooh. So I watched it a ton of times last night while I was doing this show, and every single time I finally had to turn the volume off. She's videotaping. Thank God she was there. Thank God she got the faces, because there was no security around. There was no police that came, even though this is a major location for tourists. It's the only location for tourists actually in our area, and it sits across from the JW Marriott, which in our side of town is like the resort to go to, and it's across the street from this mall. So you as also as some adult upper end living as well, like $1.2 million condos across the street. So it's not a not affluent area, and it's not a not high trafficked area or a not tourist area. It's all of those things all year long. And it's our only mall actually in our area. And it's the only mall that we can have in our area, because thank God they didn't overbuild in North Phoenix. So there's nowhere else to put another mall like this. So it's kind of a hot spot, right? Kids all go there. They hang out there all the time. The girls get dropped off. They have the movie. Harkins is there. They've got Claire's. They've got, Aeropostale. They have all the fun kid shops. And then they have all the food stuff. And we have really great restaurants because it's North Phoenix and it's tourist. So we have the better restaurants. It's not necessarily Chili's and, In-N-Out's there. This is where this happened, in front of an In-N-Out. And so we're going to find out first, obviously, how her son's doing, which I think I can say better than we would think. Thank God. And he survived that. We're going to talk about what they used during that attack, these kids, these rogue criminals. And we're going to find out where she's at on the court case with these other kids in their, sentencing and whatnot, and then kind of see where she's at with the whole thing generally, advocacy and maybe agencies, and maybe we can give you some resources, because she's not the only mom this is happening to. Again, happening everywhere. And if you have this happening, or a mom somewhere that just share it And then at least people know that it's not just them. And if they want to reach out to Kirstin, they can find her online too, Facebook and all that. So with that, on today on American Perspective, we're going to visit with a mom. It's Kirstin. And she is a neighbor of mine, like I said. Her courage and determination have brought critical attention to the issues of teen violence here in Arizona. Kirstin is a mother at the heart of a story that shook our community just 2 months ago on April 5th. Her son was the victim of a brutal attack at Desert Ridge Marketplace located in North Phoenix. 4 teenagers were arrested and charged with aggravated assault in connection with the incident. According to court records, the attack was violent and deeply troubling for families across the valley, sparking urgent conversations about youth safety and accountability. Since that day, Kirstin has become a powerful advocate seeking justice and safer communities. Her willingness to speak out, navigate the ongoing court process, and demand answers is inspiring. Today, she joins us in studio, which is new here on American Perspective, to share her family's journey, the challenges they face, and her mission to protect other children from similar harm. So with that, we'd like to welcome to our show today, American Perspective, Kirstin. And so I'm going to have her come sit here. We're going to readjust a little bit to figure out our spacing, but so just bear with us on that. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
So you can tell, so hard to talk about.
So hard.
So you're not supposed to cry on camera. That's what they say, but whatever. I don't probably follow very many rules, so I probably won't follow that one either. Are you okay with the pictures?
Yes.
We're gonna pop those up eventually. Okay. So she hasn't even seen that video that I just played, and I don't blame her. Again, I watched it so many times, and it was every single time it played and I was working on it, it's just like it was so heart-wrenching. Because all I could think is my kids, is my kids happening to them, and they run around here and they did all their lives. And to think that any of that could even take place in our community is horrifying, or your community too. So let's start with your son, right? And we're not using his name. Of course, it's public record. So if you really want to dig, you can find out. I don't think it's really relevant to anything. And he is a minor, so we don't really want to blast him all over like people do. So let's honor that privacy. How is your son doing?
I would say that he's doing well considering what happened to him. He's very brave, and we got him through the school year. He managed to finish out with straight A's.
Oh my gosh.
He
Amazing.
has a job, so he's held his job down, and his team there have been more than supportive.
Can I ask where he's working?
At the Creek Patio Grill.
Oh my gosh. All right, so this is a very small community. I know people think Arizona's big, and it is, millions of people, but our side of town is very small. So the Creek is where my salon is and has been for years, 2 doors down. Spent a ton of time there. The Creek Patio is an excellent restaurant. I'll give you a shout out. And if he's working there, even better. I'll go. Is he busing? Is he waiting?
Boy.
I was going to be
Yes.
like, I go tip him.
That's tips.
You can take tips. Okay. Yeah. Support your local kids. Well, I'm so glad to hear those updates. That makes me very, very happy because this just happened a couple months ago.
It did.
And kids do process in a much different way than obviously than moms.
Mhm.
How was that initially? This happens, he's with a friend, a female friend who's videotaping, thank God, who wasn't afraid to stand there and do this,
Yeah.
which
She helped lead to their arrest. Without her, who knows what would have happened to him. But ultimately, that's what led to the arrest. It took about 3 weeks to identify each and every boy.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Huh.
Worked with a detective.
Okay.
And
Phoenix PD.
yes.
Okay. Because
They
I
were
know we're
awesome.
short-staffed by
Mhm.
600 or so
Yeah.
people at Phoenix. And I think they're trying to remedy that, but I don't know what that looks like in conversions to fixing
Yes.
something
Even
that
with
happens.
the detectives, I think they're supposed to have double or triple what they do now. So
Yeah.
they're working with a lot less manpower.
So you were put in touch, obviously, with the great detective then.
Yes, she was wonderful.
Oh, a female. Okay,
Really
great.
wonderful.
Great. And that's nice to hear because people often think that our police are not working hard enough for us. And in some ways they are not, but I think a lot of that is the understaffing, the underfunding, the long shifts, people can only work so much and they can only cover so many hours. So we do have to give them a little grain of salt with that because with budget cuts all across and in Arizona as well. Thank you, Katie Hobbs. They just have a harder time doing this. And there's the criminal ratio. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Tell me if you think this is true. They said, but there's still so many good people out there. Now I'm a good person believer.
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm a pretty good person.
Mhm.
I won't say
Yeah.
the best, you know, we all can
Okay.
improve, but I feel like I'm on the good side of that scale. But what I see is, yes, there are a ton of good people, and everybody I know for the most part is good, but the ratio of good people
Mhm.
to the bad people
Mhm.
has increased so
Yeah.
much, and the mentally ill people
Mhm.
and the criminals that have been let in. So our ratio went from like maybe here's the good, here's the bad, to now we're equalizing bad to good.
Mhm.
And these kids are in groups,
Mhm.
like in this case.
Yes.
So you finding that to be,
Yeah.
yeah. So you get the call. Tell us what happened.
So I got a phone call. I was already en route to pick him up, and he said to me that he had just been jumped. And I said, "Where are you?" So he explained where he was. He says, "Mom, I'm okay. I'm okay." I said, "Get to In-N-Out. There's a security guard there that they've hired because an incident like this has already happened. And so they have their own private security." And so I said, stay on the phone with me, run, sprint to In-N-Out. And so he did. And as soon as I knew that he was inside, I was there within like 3 or 4 minutes later. But I said, don't look in the mirror because he's been known to faint with the sight of his own blood. But he didn't listen to me. So it was prom night. And so I guess somebody had just released crickets into the boys' bathroom. So the
Okay.
security guard, when I showed up, was a bit distracted by that. And so he didn't seem too receptive. And as soon as I saw my son's face, which was all gashed and bloody, I went into hyperventilation mode
You want to bring up for Robert?
and panic mode, and immediately wanted to get him in my car.
So he's probably in shock
Yes.
and maybe didn't even recognize what had happened exactly
Right. He
to
just knew he
him.
got away. Some patrons from a local restaurant came out to see what was going on. And I feel that they're the ones that saved my son's life ultimately.
Because this looked like it happened. You don't need to pull it up, Robert. I'll pull it up. This looked like it happened right. Is this like right where the In-N-Out? I'm just looking at the video.
So
It's
it
just
happened
right-
between Bly.
one of the changes. Obviously, he had it illegally. He's not of age to own a weapon in Arizona, even though we're an open carry state. We're pretty free around here. People carry them on their hips all day long for protection and responsibly. Everyone I know who owns a firearm are extremely responsible.
Mhm.
They train, they shoot, they know
Mhm.
they all of that. So this kid, he's 16,
Yes.
and the other three are they all 16?
15. They're 15. So the
15.
16-year-old's being tried as an adult.
Yes.
He's on juvenile parole at the time.
And he was
the
already
incident.
on parole.
Yes.
Yes, for I have that. He was on parole. What was it? Do you recall? It was burglary.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was on parole for burglary. I read that. So the other three, I feel like one other had another record.
2 others had some priors,
Yes.
and then 1 did not.
Right. So they split that night,
Mhm. They
right?
split, and a whole group of people that know my son from school went out looking for them. while we waited for the police to show up.
And it's Pinnacle. Your son's at Pinnacle.
Correct.
So Pinnacle Peak High School, just down the street here, it would be considered one of the nicer, well, it used to be considered one of the, right, nicer schools that you could send your kid to for high school around here. There would used to be only a 2 or 3 schools nearby for high school, and that was the best one. Everybody wanted to go to Pinnacle back in the day, 20 years ago. I know over the years I've heard what's happened from other friends whose kids are there the last 10 years. It's just changing. It's not what it used to be.
I mean, he loves his school up until the point that this happened. And then each and every day that I made him go to school to finish out strong, he would call me and ask me to pick him up early. The security guards were very supportive and always let him know that they had his back. His friends were extremely supportive, but I think he just got tired of being known as the person who got jumped, even though everybody's been very empathetic.
And one of the kids went to Pinnacle too.
Yes.
Just one.
Yes.
The one that went to Pinnacle, did he also have the record, or was he the one that did not?
No, but he's a known drug dealer on campus.
So. Yeah, so drugs on our campuses also was a problem 20 years ago or 15 when my kids were in high school. Big time. They were dealing in all the bathrooms. In the farthest North Valley, and it was shocking that what they would do is suspend the kids who got caught with, a vape,
right?
And they would never go after the kids in the bathroom dealing the drugs. Yeah. Is that the same?
They're dealing them on Snapchat now, so you can buy guns, drugs, anything on Snapchat.
What?
Yeah,
you can buy guns on what?
Yes.
I'm asking my producer Robert. Do you know that, Robert? I don't have Snapchat. Did you know that you can buy guns on Snap?
You can make
Facebook.
a gun with a 3D printer now.
So also disturbing that this is in the hands of the kids that are, delinquent to begin with or have records to begin with. And then they're coming to the areas with, I hate to say our good kids, but I mean, we live in the remote areas of town, not in a city for a reason. I raised my kids in the North Valley for a reason, and it was to keep them out of the fray, which did not keep them out of the fray.
Right.
The fray just came here. Yeah. It's like, we're at the end of town. Are you guys really that interested in, what I mean?
Exactly.
So he's he's there. And then the police, they did not show up that night.
They did not until about 1:30 in the morning. Again, it was prom night. They're understaffed, shorthanded. I have a call record of my 911 calls. I got my son into the car. We drove away and I was in panic mode. I didn't know what to do, but I immediately called 911 and filed a tentative report. And they said, well, how do you want to do this? And I said, well, how do I do this? And because he needed medical attention.
Right.
So they said, well, we can file it tomorrow. And I just left it at that point. We'll just do it tomorrow. But they had my contact information. And so I get my son home and realized that I was not up for doing any medical attention. I called a nurse friend. She said, absolutely, bring him over. In the meantime, the police had called me back and said, look, the security guard at the In-N-Out says he has the video footage of this assault. And so I said, okay, great. I'm going to get my son.
So hold on a second. Let me stop you there. So the security guard at In-N-Out said he had the video footage from their main cam. Is that or
from a girl, which is the video that you saw?
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
They got it to that security guard.
Oh,
who called the police and says, I have video footage of this assault. Come and get it. And they said, no victim, no crime. But meanwhile, they were able to contact me and know that there was a victim and I had the victim in my car. We were heading to get medical attention. So the police called me and said, go fetch basically the video.
Okay.
So I'm, torn. Do I get the video, which is I really want to get these people.
Right.
I want to catch these people. It's not like the movies where you think they're just going to show up and track them down and all is good and all is well. So once we got my son medical attention, I tried to call In-N-Out. Well, there's no phone number to reach them. You have to go in person. So I made my son go back up to the scene of the crime and speak with the security guard. And at that point, there was 30-something kids from his school trying to find these other people because nobody knew who they were.
Right.
And we got the video and I called 911 multiple times to let them know we were back there. Please come take my report. Let's catch these guys. And they showed up. We left at about 11:30 p.m. because I just needed to get home. And they showed up at about 1:30 in the morning.
So a 2-hour response time in Phoenix is pretty normal, actually.
Well, this happened at 9 o'clock.
But when they put the call out for the final dispatch, so 2 hours. My son's car was just vandalized here a couple months ago, and they broke out some of the windows here. And we called. He actually had to call over a series of days. Of course, it wasn't as
it took about 24 hours.
And and he still had to, I said, just be prepared to wait. And so it was like after work, because you have to be here. It's like just all when you get home at 6, but then they might show up at 10.
Yeah, and when you call, you may get a busy signal. 911 is not always available to talk with you. You may go into a holding tank, or you may get a busy signal.
Oh, I didn't know that was happening here.
It's
I
happening.
mean, I've heard, but I didn't think we were there.
We're there.
So, but that doesn't mean you guys should not rely on your local law enforcement. They are there to protect you. You know, I'm a big proponent of law enforcement officers. They work with extreme situations now in the department. Sometimes if they're not being supported by their local government, certainly here, that's the case. And so don't take it out on them. There's always bad people everywhere, in every doctors, lawyers, priests, every single industry has bad people, but the majority, 99% are amazing, helpful people who just are there to really protect us or help us after something's happened like this. So you're in contact with the police, you have the video, and what are they telling you for the next steps? We're going to launch an investigation.
Yes, they said they'd launch an investigation. The more helpful and quick I was to respond, the better it would be. So I just made that decision that was going to be the choice I would make, and I'd respond. I'd get them any evidence that they may need. We put it on my son to find out who these guys were, which was not in his comfort zone, to go to school and try to figure out who these guys were. He was trying to not put a target on his back. We were told to kind of lay low, but ask around at the same time. And we weren't able to get any more information. And so luckily, 3 of these people have already been in trouble with the law. So their probation officers have information on them, including pictures. So the detective got involved with the juvenile probation officers, and that's what led to their arrest.
I saw that in the report that the one probation officer identified that the 16-year-old who's being tried as an adult, that his probation officer saw the video and identified him.
Yes.
So I'll give him credit too, because not all probation officers are created equal out here, firsthand knowledge. And sometimes they just don't really do anything or violate them. So good job. I'm glad that happened and that he was able to identify him so easily. Now, once they identified the student that went to Pinnacle with so there's 3 high schools, or how many high schools were involved?
I believe 3 or 4.
Okay. And they were different parts of the valley.
Correct.
So these kids somehow knew each other, because that's a little atypical.
And I
unless
believe
you're
it ties
sports.
into the drugs, the Snapchats, the guns.
Yes.
There was a prior incident with this group of people. This was not the first time that they had done this to someone. So they did have a reputation of being juvies and doing this to other people, always involving alcohol or drugs or, again, guns.
Yeah, so that is the problem, isn't it? That these kids are hanging out either at home with bad influences or finding bad influences in a Snapchat community, which is not a real community.
Right.
And they're just kind of migrating together because they're bad, the other kids are good. So they've created their own little gangs. Yeah. Basically. I mean, these are not long-term criminals, and they're not in a gang, but they create their own gangs.
It's essentially a gang. Yeah,
it is.
It's a sense of belonging, and the parents do typically, from the background checks that I did, have records, have, issues like that, to where it's either being passed down or, like you said, they're just not in the home. So.
And are you seeing with the parents, you've been in court a little bit so far, right?
Yes.
You had an arraignment on these cases? Yeah. So they were all charged?
Yes, all charged.
So did your son have to go to any of the hearings or arraignments?
It was optional, and he chose not to.
Probably wise. And so this is all preliminary. This takes a while. So if you've never been in a court case, they're not very quick moving, and there's a lot of reschedules and next schedule and rehearings and return hearings. And so it's not a very tidy process for anybody, especially for the victim and their families. Also, firsthand information I'm giving you there. I'm not guessing at that. And when they arrested them they all
at the same time. So they planned, the detective says, I'm not going to tell you when it's going to happen, but just so you know, we do believe we know who they are. It is going to happen. And when it happens, we're going to try to do it all at the same time. So nobody can tip anybody off.
And were they successful?
They were successful.
So that's amazing. Good job, them. Again, kudos to the police department and that detective. What's that? Can we say the detective's name?
Detective Callahan.
Huh. Okay. Okay, so yeah, now we have, we're gonna bring up, perfect, thank you, Robert. So one of our, he's paying so much more attention than me, I'm in conversation. So here we have on April 5th, this is part of one of the statements for our defendant. And this is the defendant who is, what's his name? I don't have the full sheet here. The older boy, this is his.
Mason Shear Whitehead.
Yes, Shear White, Mason Shear Whitehead, that's right. On April 5th, juvenile defendant, along with 3 additional juveniles, committed aggravated assault against the victim. The 4 juvenile suspects kicked and struck the victim with closed fists in the face and body and prevented the victim's friends from stopping the assault. That was the girl you saw. The victim sustained a fractured nose, visible injury to his face, and abrasions to his chest and both elbows. But there, I think, is more damage than that. And then let's bring up real quick, because we'll go back, we'll bring up 8. And so on 8, this is also the same part of that document. One of the female witnesses attempted to intervene and was struck by one of the male suspects. Is she okay?
She's okay. Yeah, I don't.
He
think
lashed
she-
out.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think she came forward and pressed charges of her own.
Well, the state would press on her behalf, and they did not do that, huh?
I'm not quite
The Rachel Mitchell's office is handling this case. I
She is
noticed that.
herself, personally.
She is,
That was
but they did
escalated.
not want to attach another assault to.
This case is in adult court, so I'm not.
And did he strike her, or was it another kid?
Not sure.
So see, that would make a difference. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna call, I wanted to call Rachel's office today and see if I can get her on phone, but I didn't have time,
She's
so
been very good and very receptive, and
great.
the whole team of supervisor like it was escalated to the top supervisor prosecutors of the state.
Great. I
They
did
all-
tag her. So she's
Yeah.
see, we're talking about this
Okay.
today, and I would like to be in touch and see where they're at on this. So it says also the defendant was later identified by his juvenile parole officer. We just mentioned that after he reviewed the assault, and the defendant's parole officer conducted a search of his bedroom. During a search of the defendant's bedroom, a black 9mm Glock 19 displaying the serial number XYZ was recovered. There was a magazine inside the firearm with 1 round in the chamber. So thank God he didn't carry a gun.
And if he had it that night, he didn't have time, did not use it on my son.
Yes, and this is the problem with people helping. And I always say, excuse me, you always want to help. I see things happen. I've wanted to help, but you do have to weigh that. It's such a sad thing. If you don't have any defense mechanism yourself, it might not be wise, especially if you're a female, right? And there's men involved. That could be very dangerous. So we're thankfully didn't have that with him. It says then later, the defendant caught up to the victim. He threw him to the ground and began striking him and kicking him in the body. This is the older boy, 16 years old, being tried as an adult. You saw that on the video when he pushed him down and then got on top of him. And to finish out, it says the defendant number 9, you can bring it up or not. It's okay. It's just a sentence. The defendant is currently on juvenile parole. So we talked about these kids reoffending. 3 of them had records already. There we go. The highlighted defendant is currently on parole. Yeah. So, and his previous conviction was adjudicated as theft of a firearm and possession of burglary tools. Both were felonies. So do we not have a 3-strike rule here?
That's why he's being tried as an adult.
Oh, they're pursuing a
Yes.
3-strike rule?
Because in juvenile, it's 1, 2, possibly 3, and 3, the third one you get tried as an adult.
Oh,
Yes.
excellent.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
Excellent. That makes me very happy. Thank God Arizona still has laws on the books that protect people. That is very comforting to me to know that. And, you don't really want kids to go to jail at 16. That would be frightening from the other parent side of the fence for sure, because of course we know what can happen to them. And nobody wishes that on anybody. We're moms. We don't want anybody's kids to get hurt, certainly not be put in prison. But this seems like a kid who just has not learned a lesson and is not going to.
Well, my wish for each and every one of these guys is that this is the moment that changes them. And I guess that's why I've taken matter into my own hands, because I want to put a stop to it, and they have a fork in the road. They can go one way or they can go the other way, but it's not going to be an easy path if they choose the wrong path.
No.
This is what it's going to be like.
And once you're in court here in Arizona, it's quite a cycle and it's quite a circle. They keep you in it for a long time. It is also a little bit of a revenue builder for the state. There's a lot of fines. It takes a long time. There's a lot of classes. There'll be anger management, I'm sure, signed, and those are weekly and they cost money. So there is all that component too for the defendants. So so all of that aside, so this is the court case. This happens, they're pursuing them, they arrest them, they're trying them, they've arraigned them. Now in your family household, let's cut to that. So your son's finishing out the year. There's only a few weeks left at that point. He finished with almost straight A's.
He did. And that was, it was like I was just solely focused on that because I wanted to teach him that he could rise up. And it's bittersweet, I guess, because he was still going through his own turmoil and still is going through his own turmoil with nightmares every night. I can't walk into a room where he stands by himself and him not be extremely jumpy. And then he opened up to some family members that we just really haven't shared because neither of us wanted to talk much about it. We wanted to kind of compartmentalize it, focus on what we could control and what we could change and try to keep things positive, but it's still been brewing under the surface, especially for him. So opening that conversation and dialogue and sharing created like a whole emotional eruption for him, where he actually became physically ill. So he's finally agreed to get into counseling. I pushed
You can't force him.
and pushed it and pushed it, but the more that I pushed it, the more angry he became. So we're a few months out and he has agreed to get into some counseling because I don't want this to be the thing that defines him or comes out later on in life in a different variety of ways. But we're still not able to go to the shopping center where we live in the community where we buy food.
Like I said,
and have
that's
entertainment.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
He refuses
That's all we
to go
have.
through the drive-through in and out. So
And
it's complicated.
there's siblings in the
things.
house or is it just him?
He has 3 siblings. Yes, he's the oldest of 4.
Oh, the oldest.
Yes.
So how were they?
And I had to explain to them that something really bad happened to their brother the next morning because of his face, before we went to the hospital. And, in hindsight, I should have just called 911 and taken him to the hospital that night. But because we were so caught up in trying to figure out where these bad guys are and who they are, and, that took hours and hours and hours and when he should have been in the hospital. But we got him checked out the very next morning. They CT'd everything and thank God. I mean, yes, he has a broken nose that heals, no internal bleeding. They did full panel workup, blood work and everything. So.
In the face. And then did they harm his mouth in any way?
No, he has Invisalign. And so I feel like, and he protected his head.
I did read that in the report.
As a mother raising boys, I've taught them, and it's probably bad advice, but as you were saying in the school system,
you're going to give them you gave them the same advice I did. Go ahead.
Run, get away. I don't care what you have to do.
100%.
So what was he doing when they tried to catch him? He was run.
100%.
Don't stay and fight. Don't do it.
Right.
Get away.
Right. Do not stay and fight.
Yeah.
I used to tell my kids that all the time. My son, she just met my son. He came in, Tommy, he's 6'5.5". He was 5'10" when he was 12. He was 5'10".
Wow.
In 6th grade. And my other son, regular size, but he's a pretty stocky kid. He, not weak.
Yeah.
But I always told them, I don't care what anybody, I don't care if somebody pushes you from the back.
Yeah.
But sometimes other people in their lives tell them the opposite.
Yeah. So he had been told that if anybody ever jumps you, if you lay there and take it, that it won't be as bad. And so I don't think that he necessarily laid there and take it. He was running. He was trying to get away. He sensed something was really off when they approached him with hoods up and a flashlight out, meaning they were recording the entire event, to showboat it to.
Did they post it?
I'm not quite sure because in these types of situations, yes, there's an investigation, but it can only go as far. And because it wasn't necessarily an online offense, they didn't always have search warrants to seize their phones and look into all of their socials.
You think if you're a criminal, everything is open for interpretation by any agency that wants to get their hands on it. That's probably something that we talk about legislatively. Well, we're glad he's doing good. We're glad that they've been caught, put in jail, that they're definitely getting consequences, some more than others. That's all good things for what is a horrible situation. So school, I was going to ask you, so he did good at the end of the year. He's got a couple months. We start here first week of August, back to school. So it's a short rest period. Socially, I know you just said he just came back from a trip with family, maybe.
Yes, with
So he
family.
got away out of state to a beautiful state nearby, and he just got back, and I assume he had a good
He
time.
did, and it was such a good reset for him.
Good.
So that's the goal, let him just kind of get peace of mind, and time heals everything. I mean, it really does.
It does. Mostly.
It will be with him for the rest of his life for sure. And becoming a young man at this age,
And has he thought about, tell me this, so this is going to be extreme, but has there any been talk about this self-defense stuff?
I approached it. Let's do
boxing,
self-defense.
because there's stuff, there's videos everywhere, right?
Oh, no, he would say initially, but he's coming around to it. I just think it was too fresh in his mind. He's not a violent person. He's not somebody that would want to retaliate. And I bottom line is, I don't want this to cause him to become that type of a person, which it doesn't seem to be.
Right.
But yes, learning self-defense skills, I mean, obviously when it's 4-on-1, it's a bit difficult, but
well, yeah, you can't prepare for that ever. But and it's not violence. So I used to think it was violence too. Then my younger son wanted to do boxing at the gym. So I did let him. I mean, it wasn't my comfort zone, but I thought, okay, if you're gonna know it, at least know it the right way and use it for good, like training and exercise and discipline. So I let him do that for a while. He didn't really pursue it. He actually kept throwing his shoulder out. So I guess that might have been a good thing, because I didn't really want him to be a boxer. But there's all the studios. So I mean, hopefully he will come around to maybe just empowering himself, right, as he gets older, because between now and 20, those are going to be some really substantial years of his development in this area. I'm sure. I'm not a doctor, but I have gone through the services and the boys, and we've used a lot of the services over the years in high school, so I'm familiar with what those steps might look like. Are you using any of our local state services? Has anything been offered through victims advocacy?
So they gave me a long list the other day when I was in court. I talked to the prosecutor for resources. My victims advocates have been great giving me resources. I reached out to another organization, Not My Kid, who's great in town, nonprofit organization, and they
Not My Kid, right there on Shea, yeah.
They gave me a list of some other counseling places that are further up north, like a little closer versus driving to East Mesa or Gilbert or Clear Creek. Some of the resources from the state were quite far.
Everything's far for us.
Yeah.
Everything out here, the resources. I was in Mesa constantly from Carefree Highway.
Yeah.
It's a 60-mile drive. Yeah, so that's good that they've expanded resources north, because that was a problem. And so he's willing now to do that.
Yes.
So that's good to hear. And then I know it won't be a quick fix. I'm sure the next few years, when things happen with my kids, until they were graduated for a few years, we kind of kept that going.
That's a good idea.
Because you can't keep them going after 18,
right?
But you kind of can before. So if I could give you any advice, if that's okay, because we haven't gone deep into our stuff, but same stuff. Keep them in.
Yeah.
If they'll do it, if they'll start it, even if you have to flip around with people, just keep them in and keep that process going. Plus, it gives them a good baseline, I think, for being an adult and realizing that that's that whole process of counseling or seeking help is okay.
It's okay.
And so I'm glad to hear that you guys are on top of that. Is it just you, Kirstin, with your kids?
Yeah, I've been raising them by myself for 6 years.
Yep. I did it for 20.
Yes.
Well, still am,
Yes.
Talk about that. We never stop raising our kids until they're literally fine on their own.
Yes.
And maybe they never are.
Maybe not.
Right?
They'll need us.
So I know your struggle. I only had 2. You have 4. That's gigantic hurdles.
With the dad that's not very involved. So
Yep. That is a whole nother level of difficulty for you. So talking about the court process, where are you guys at? And where do you the time frame, what does that look like? Are we looking at another 6 months? Are they in the process of just getting sentenced, or what does that look like?
So one's already accepted a plea deal. I'm hopeful that a second one will. We're waiting on a plea deal for the third, and the one that's being tried as an adult, we're hoping to have something in the works by next month. So next month's looking promising, July, in terms of having a little bit more closure or idea of whether we're going to go to trial or they're going to accept a plea deal.
Okay, will he have to testify?
If we go to trial, yes. So
will they give him anonymity or zoom him in? You could ask that for that.
I mean, we could
just so I'm sure they still do that. So being in a courtroom, as I have been many times in multiple courts here, it's not comfortable as an adult.
Right. No, it's not.
awful. Every single time it's awful.
It's amazing how much you can sweat in a short period of time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible, and there's no way to make the process easier. So I don't know if Rachel can offer you something, but I would certainly request if there's some type of out of room
That's a good idea.
or video call in. It
Yeah.
will make him
Yeah,
more
probably.
comfortable.
I know because I've been attending every court hearing, I've been able to choose virtual or in person. I've gone in person for 99% of them. One was actually done online, but
Right. And then does he have an advocate has been assigned?
yes, but I'm just handling. I'm trying to not talk about it as much with him because initially those first 3 weeks were like every time we spoke, I had to get more information from him because I had to understand, how to piece it all together. And I could only get so much information out of one conversation. So it was literally every day, every time he was in my front seat, driving him to school or picking him up and driving him home from school, he was wanting to get out of that front seat. He's like, why are you always talking about this?
Did they not? They interviewed him, right?
They did, yes. But then we were still trying to figure out who these guys were because we had no idea if they were going to be caught. I mean, if it just the case would go cold or what would happen. So, behind the scenes, by the time the detective had requested video footage from the shopping center and all these other things, I had already contacted all those people like the day after. So she's like, wow, you really, beat me to the chase. But I was determined to take my power back and stand up to these guys. So
wow, this is so much for you to handle on your own. I would like to say, I'm sure we'll be off camera in contact, and maybe I can help you with resources because I
appreciate that.
Navigated this system for over 10 years. Not proudly, just facts.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to do awareness more than
Mm-hmm.
anything. Part of that is going on news shows. I know you're on Channel 12 and some other, outlets you've spoken with. So what do you hope to gain, and where do you see the direction of that going? I want to know if you talked to any legislators.
I was in touch with Matt Gress because this all took place right around the same time that Preston law was being voted into effect. So I did Channel 12 News specifically at his request to do it quickly within a 2 or 3 day window. And so when I went in there, I had agreed to do it. It was just like, I just said yes.
Right.
And I went ahead and I did it. And it was, I was so numb at the time. I wasn't sure what I was even doing, but I just did it. And at that time, 2 days later, I believe Preston's law was voted into effect, which says 2 or more people on one person automatically is a felony charge.
Yep.
And swarming, where these kids are just coming up on other kids and being, in gang-like ways. So that was a win. And then, I've just tried to use my nervous energy towards producing good. Again, Desert Ridge Shopping Center seems to be this place that is falling apart. People talk about it behind the scenes, but to know firsthand now that it's not a safe place.
Right.
We have other friends that are dropping their kids off there
all the time.
And so just to raise awareness, and nobody really had any idea. It was all speculation, but now I know firsthand.
And they don't have any on-duty police officers, which is shocking in such a high-profile location for tourists. I mean, again, the Marriott, I would think that, I feel like calling the Marriott supervisors and just being like, do you know this is happening across the street? Or Toscana is across. So Toscana across the street, and my son lived there for 6 months last year. It's a 20-year-old property, but they're luxury condos that they built. It was the first build 20 years ago on that street. There was nothing else out there. Like, that was the end of town. And now they're building next door. They start at 99999. They put 1.1 next door, which are more like apartments. They're still condos, but that's how high end it is right there. Not to mention everything else right there. And so I'm really curious if even those businesses on the other side have any idea, because I can't imagine why they wouldn't. And let's be honest, Desert Ridge makes plenty of money, that they don't just hire on duty 24-hour day actual officer, like a school resource officer is hired.
Exactly. Or somebody that's an off-duty officer per se.
Are we getting to that point where you're talking to them about?
I'm hoping. The security guards were on the southeast part of the building dealing with kids doing donuts in the Kohl's parking lot. Meanwhile, this incident happened on the northwest portion of the parking lot of the shopping center.
And the cameras, is there not somebody in security offices watching cameras? Is that not happening there?
Possibly there were cameras outside of, and I don't know if each different business has their own, because Barrio Queen didn't have camera footage from exactly where the incident happened, but Flyby did. So we have video footage of the initial encounter.
Right.
but not the actual assault.
So definitely things that could be worked on. So Matt Gress, I know Matt Gress very well. He was actually just at a veterans event we did over Memorial Weekend at the Veterans Cemetery
Okay.
with a group I work with. And he comes every year and supports it. And that was no different. And he was on camera with me as he's gracious to do that, just to say hi and just be at the event. And so, yeah, definitely, I feel like we're going to maybe coordinate on some things. But if you had to, I mean, it's hard because this is a big subject and it varies. But if you had to tell parents now, just from your mom perspective, after you've dealt with this, what would you tell parents? Because people are going through a lot of these things with their own kids in different areas, whether it's at the school, the playgrounds, younger kids, daycares, whatever, kids are coming after kids. What would be your best advice to parents if this were to happen or has happened?
I would say speak up about it, because that teaches your child to speak up. And so we're trying to teach them, and so they can learn from watching. Speaking up about it, I mean, as much as it's been hard to talk about and for my son to be known as the person that was jumped, he still is learning how to do the right thing. And what happened to him was the wrong thing. And also teaching him the court system, what's happening to these kids that did this to him.
Right.
And if he chose that path that they're on, what would happen to him? So I feel like he's learning quite a bit from all of this.
As your younger kids are.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
they have been right through it with him, you know.
And the kids are close.
they're
Your kids.
close. Oh yeah, they're close. It's like
They must have been devastated for him just to see what happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're glad. I mean, the takeaway, I guess, on all of this is your son wasn't hurt as badly as he could have been.
Uh-huh.
So many different ways. They were effective in getting these kids caught as pretty quickly, and the young girl who was there to help him stayed
Yes.
and didn't run because
She was amazing.
it's
So,
frightening.
so brave. And to get the video footage, you know, I guess this is a common thing, as you've mentioned. They have their cameras out. And so it's, do I step in and potentially get hurt too? Or do I take video footage, but make sure you get the video footage of their faces?
Right.
And it was a 19-second or 23-second clip.
19, yeah.
It doesn't have to be long.
Right.
And you can turn that into law enforcement for, you know, evidence,
to help others. So that's great. So we're going to probably have to wrap. You've been so gracious with your time, and of course, I don't even know what time it is. Oh yeah, just a little over 1. We don't have a hard stop here. But if there's anything else you feel like you want to share that we maybe didn't touch on, because there's always so much to the cases, and I know we breezed over a little bit, but I wanted to give an overview for people to understand that it's not only happening in general, as I showed in other clips here in Arizona, but I could have pulled 10 other clips there was one in Minnesota, there was one in Wyoming. I mean, it's happening everywhere. To that it's not socioeconomic.
No, not
and
at
that's
all.
a fallacy altogether. It's not race related whatsoever, even though you'll see it sometime between, two different racial groups on some of those videos. It's not about that. It's just about these kids not having any moral structure or guidelines.
And they want street credit. They want to be tough. They want to be cool. They want to be most liked if they're posting their videos to get the most likes. And so these kids are very desensitized to violence. They viewed it all online for years, and they don't know that if if you hit the ground in a fight like this, that can be the end of you. So my son has learned never to hit the ground. So as he laid there trying to protect his head, had he been able to try to get up on his feet, perhaps that would have been better, because one wrong blow to the head can paralyze you or kill you instantly.
Yeah, on the concrete with the curbs. Yeah, definitely. So we just, of course, wish him the speediest recovery, not just physically that he's had, but the mental and emotional. It's going to be a long time coming. And it's good to know, like, not all kids have great support. It's hard to be a single mom anyway, just in normal living, right, and life. Just navigating TV shows and ratings is ridiculous, right? And just putting the sensors on the phones.
Oh yes, great time.
It's really challenging. So to have this thrown at you with the 3 kids also in the household by yourself I understand where you're at.
Thank you.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Not
They're
easy
worth it. They didn't ask to be here. I wanted children. I brought them into this world. So it's my job to make sure they get it right.
You're strong.
Oh, thank you.
Woman.
Appreciate
I
that.
can tell. I can tell.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've been on that other side.
Yeah.
It's not this easy. And I don't want to make you emotional. I'm not trying to do that. I'll be emotional because that's how I am. I'm always emotional. I mean, kids anything with kids.
Yeah.
Well, anything with anybody. I don't want
Mhm.
anybody to be
No,
hurt.
I know.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't even want bad people to be hurt.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe.
I mean,
for
I'm not as
24 hours.
unhappy when bad people get hurt. And I do believe in capital punishment. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
If they kill people, I feel like they should
Yeah, there's no
be
rehab for
killed. I mean,
that.
I think that that's a fair assessment for punishment and consequences these days because it's deliberate, and then that just should absolve you of all rights and period. But I still don't wish for that for people, and I really wish that people could get help and didn't
Yeah.
have bad broken homes or
I know.
nothing to support them in a good life. It's very it's unfortunate that we are in this society
It
so prevalently.
Yes.
And all of us in our little pods, the parents who pay attention and really want to go the other direction, we really have to work so much harder to make our kids get out the door
Mhm.
into adulthood like mine are and be healthy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to tell you this. Reality is, even when they're out in the world and they're going to Tempe now,
Mhm.
it's still midnight.
Yeah.
Where are you? I mean, I GPS my kids, they're
Yeah.
20 and 23, and they're fine with it.
Yeah.
They GPS me. Last known location is a kind of an important thing these days. We
It's
live in a high
huge.
traffic state. I do a lot
Absolutely.
of that information. So you all have to know where everybody is, you know, if you care about
Just
each
because you
other.
know where they are. For the younger, group that the moms are dropping people off, you don't know what they're doing. So
Or who's there.
yeah, who's there and who's going to be sneaking up on them. So
That's right.
I checked my son's location right before I drove to get him that night. He was waiting there at Flyby for me to pick him up, and
Yeah. Yeah,
then I was driving, so I wasn't obviously looking at his location. But
I
that
know.
wouldn't have
You can
changed
only do so
anything.
much. You can
Yeah.
only do so much. I mean, you've obviously done everything possible right now, and I'm sure that he's going to come out all the better for this, ultimately, and the best possible outcome
Yeah.
for him and the kids. So I want to thank you so much for sharing all of that, for giving
You're
me all the
welcome.
documents and the pictures.
Mhm.
And I know it's really hard still for you, and I know you're here and you're sitting here strong, but I know it's hard
Yeah.
inside.
It's
So
hard.
I'm not suggesting that you're completely overcoming everything, and so I do appreciate
Thank
that.
you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to while I finish the show. If you have to leave, that's understandable as
Okay.
well, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
And either way, it's just another 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
We could talk after if
Okay.
you're still here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go sit over there.
Okay.
And we're gonna shift gears, you guys, just back to the regular show. So I don't know about you, but I mean, hard show Friday, fun day, right? It's supposed to be in the weekend, but these things are happening. I don't like to dwell on them, but we do have to talk about them, especially since they're literally 2 miles right from where I'm sitting now, and it is our only location. And for all you Arizona parents, I'm going to post this on a bunch of Arizona groups. I think I did last night. It's not about her son, it's about the kids that are doing this to our other kids and who are allowed to roam free. And the law enforcement's hands are a little bit tied with restrictions of shifting or manpower or budget or being in multiple places in a big mall. So the organizations that run these places, the companies, they probably should realize that their patrons are really in harm's way. And I think it's up to them to get together. And maybe that's something we talk to Matt about, or who do we have over here? We have Abe Hamadeh. You know Abe, our congressman? Okay. So he's great. He's he's in Washington, but he's here a lot. Know him very well. He was just elected in last round, and he is a law enforcement background. So he is astute on all things this. I don't know if it's his wheelhouse as far as federal, state, but I would love to run it by somebody I know in his office and see if from any perspective there could be help. So gonna do that. And Matt Grass, I might give him a jingle and see if there's any way I can help, whatever. I don't know, highlight whatever he's going to do for you too, because we want everybody to keep knowing about this and we don't want to forget about it. Just not once and done. These things are happening every day. Friday, Saturdays happen every week. Our kids are going out to the movies every weekend. They're going to In-N-Out. They're going to the burger places and they're hanging out. That's what kids do. We don't want to put them in a box back in the houses like we did in 2020. Not so much here, but everywhere else in the world. Our kids were actually still running around like week 8 here from COVID. Mine were anyway. I didn't sequester my kids. But still, we do have to find all different ways, whether it is legislatively, whether it is through the businesses that are allowing this to happen on their properties. The liability for them is huge. I can't imagine they don't want to make some kind of major shift for at least a resource officer on site. I don't mean Paul Blart. I mean an actual officer who's allowed to carry and who can implement any type of authority necessary physically or otherwise in an event such as this. So we'll be kind of keeping up on this. By the way, last week, Kirstin told me this earlier. A man shot his ex-wife. She has 3 kids, killed her in that parking lot, left the kids did not get harmed. But that just happened a week or so ago in the same mall. Huh, which I'm there all the time, constantly. Not often at night though, because sometimes when you get old, you stop going out after 8. But there's plenty of people there, and our season starts in September, and it's packed there, and we don't want unsafe things happening, and we don't want our neighborhood to resemble inner Phoenix either. That's not why we live here. So it sounds like we have some work to do, and I hope I can be helpful in that respect in any way, and we'll see how that goes. But I'll let you guys all know what's happening and keep you in that loop. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish up. We're at 117, pretty close. We are going to finish on high notes. It's Friday. I want you guys to have a great weekend. I want you to enjoy it, know what's going on, but then enjoy your life too. Just be aware. So what we're going to do this first one, and 4th of July is coming up next week. I think you all know I'm pretty big on the 4th of July, not just on that day. I do a lot of veterans events. We've been doing Armed Forces Day in May. We were in San Diego. Then we did D-Day for anniversary, 81st anniversary. We had Leo and Martin, 2 of our Marines on from San Diego as guests. And they threw out a fun, hey, do you want to come to the Coronado Day Parade? And I thought, oh, yeah, that's awesome. I haven't been there in 18 years with the kids since I took them to the parade every summer. And so started looking into it and talked to Leo last week, Leo McSweeney, and he confirmed that I get to go. So we're going to finish up with fun. Let's look forward to 4th of July weekend. And here's some things you can do. The first one Robert's going to bring up, number 10, is from the Coronado. This is from last year, but Coronado 4th of July celebration. And this is a group of our Navy Leapfrogs, what they put on out there that'll be happening. So let's just bring that one up first. All right, so that was last year's. I'm sure that'll be going on again. And then we are going to look at number 11. This one's fun. This is fireworks. I don't think this is in Coronado too. So let's see this one. Beautiful. So that's a quickie, but that's going to be happening, you guys. Great 4th of July display there. It's about America. It's our 249th anniversary this year. Of course, next year's 250th, and it's going to be off the charts. I hope I can go back to Coronado, I think. I might put in my request now to see if I can get on that float, because that's going to be out of control over there next year. But this year's going to be out of control too. I'm going to be on the float with the Marines and the Navy, who, by the way, are the same department. Just we found that out on the show too, if you didn't know. And the Marines are a tiny little division of the Navy, and specialty really. And so I'm going to be on their float in the parade. We're going to do the show early, because instead of noon Pacific and Mountain Standard Time, we're actually going to be, I think, on location around 9:30. They're going to be decorating the float in the morning. They have a whole little crew that does that from the military. And then I think the parade starts at 10. I think we're kind of in the beginning of the parade. So I'm probably going to talk to some people there, see what's going on. Hopefully, God willing, Robert can't really affect this because he can only do so much technologically, but we will pray to God that everything works with the phone, which is what's going to be happening. It live streams, it holds a signal on a military base island with 100,000 people with their phones on. So those are some small hurdles that we're going to try to overcome. But if we cut in and out, I'm worried. Oh, I think Robert's laughing here. He's laughing, Robert. Robert's laughing. He thought that was funny. It is funny because I'm going to warn you now. So we're gonna put it out, but probably tune in around 9:30-ish, just approximate, till probably about 11. That's when our float will probably, I'm guessing at this end, will be off. And then I think I'm gonna maybe hit a VFW nearby, probably on Coronado Island. I've been invited, talk to some of the older servicemen who have been doing this their whole lives and who did some of the hardest wars and conflicts for our benefit. And we want to just honor them by talking with them and letting them, say whatever they want, really, at this point. So excited. Bring up, let's see, our last little graphic is just the event itself. I just wanted to put it up for Coronado. But here we go. There's their California. There's their page for Coronado. You can just Coronado 4th of July parade.com. And this comes up where there's a little schedule of events right down here. So yep, we can go a little bit, keep going, and then there'll be like a little area with, there we go, event schedule. So it's stuff happening starting at 7. They've got I don't know, all kinds. I can't even read that, but that's okay. Just get on Independence Day Parade, find us. I mean, you're going to see me. It's going to be the best float, I think. Plus, I'm surrounded by the most, I don't know, safest guys I could hope to be around at any given moment who have been protecting my life and your life without knowing us for their lives. So I know I talk about it all the time, but our military folks, the heroes that they are, whether they serve 2 years, 20 years, whatever, they are doing it selflessly and without even knowing you. So I don't know if that does not set in your brain and really make you think about who these people are. I just don't know what would. I mean, think about it. They're risking their lives for you and they've never met you. That's quite extraordinary, don't you think? That's why I call them heroes, because they are. If I wouldn't do it, a lot of you wouldn't do it, and that's totally acceptable. It's hard. It's hard to sit and take a bullet and hope it doesn't hit you every night in a post across the seas where you don't know anybody in a desert with, basic equipment, and you hope there's no IEDs in the way. So I always want to mention, thank them when you see them, not just on the holidays, because they're doing it the rest of the years too. Thank them other time. If you see a veteran wearing a hat, it's a veteran's hat, they're probably a veteran. Say, are you a veteran? I do it all the time out here. If they're past 70, they're probably a veteran. I ask them, and then I say, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate what you did. And they appreciate that. And if everybody appreciated everybody more, also would be a better place. That's my theory on that. So join me next week, you guys, 9:30-ish. We won't do the noon show. We're going to be on Orange Avenue, rolling down on Coronado Island. It's going to be amazing. I'll be red, white, and blued out for sure. And probably holding a flag or something with the camera, something like that. I'm so honored to be with them. Find us on all the channels, Patriot_Mom007, Facebook, Instagram. We're live on X now, hopefully today. I don't know. I was so involved in what was going on. I have no idea what went out today. Hopefully our shows went out. I couldn't really check. I didn't really chat. If you guys are there chatting, darn it. Sorry. I'm going to do it right now. Live and links. Here's our links. And I didn't do the clips, Robert. Darn it, they didn't happen. So I did do the clips, but they didn't happen. That's a back end thing. We're gonna have to work that out. I'm working through these things as we go and learning every single week. But whether you guys are going to be grilling, chilling, or thrilling next weekend for the festival day and celebration of our liberties and our freedoms, whatever you do, don't forget the bravery, the dedication to our country, or the willingness to protect you and your family from all enemies, foreign and domestic, happening right now in our country. So I do hope your day is filled with amazing everything, honestly, for you and your family. Make it a family day. Stay super safe. Watch the fireworks. Don't let the kids hold anything in their hands, except unless they're sparklers, which are still fun as an adult and safe. So safety first. That's it with the show. We're going to just thank you guys all for tuning in again today here on American Perspective with me, your host, Noél Roberts, Patriot Mom007. If you want to share this with anybody, I really would appreciate you doing that. Go to my channels. Subscribe is not on YouTube anymore. I think they took that off. I have to fix that. I don't know what happened, but if you see a subscribe button, click it. If you don't want to subscribe, click the share button like I keep asking. Follow if you want to on any of them or all of them. And if you find anything valuable, write to me. If you know of anything valuable I don't know or said wrong, write to me. Feedback is still appreciated. We're only on month 3, so we can always improve, right? I'm here for you, not really for me. Robert, thank you so much. JData17, Facebook and X. We mentioned it earlier. Get all the live channels happenings in your area around the country, happening all the time, unedited, uncut, live, city officials, just in their meetings. You know exactly what they're doing. If they're working for you, you should, and you should be a manager and check in on them from time to time for the reviews online. And you get that with his channels. Also, please, I said follow, like, and share. And as always, the biggest thing, get involved, get educated, get your resources. If you don't know what the challenges in your community are, like I'm just learning right now about this, I'm shocked that I did not know this, then you can't help correct anything, not for your community, your city, your state, and certainly not your family, most of all. Elections are around the corner. They just had one in New York yesterday for a primary. Crazy guy got in. He's a straight up socialist. He says he is. You guys have to know who you're voting for. It's very important. A lot of people don't think it is, even in the primaries, but it is extremely important. So please find out who your candidates are. We have Andy Biggs running here. We have, I think Matt Gress is back up again. We talked about him. He's a good one. Know who they are. Look at online, go to meet and greets. It happens all the time. They're accessible. You can meet them. You can talk to them. You can look at their records if they've been in office, see what they've been doing. If they've been doing good things, let's keep them in office. And if they're doing bad things, like Yasmin Ansari over down in South Mountain, by the way, our new congresswoman, she ran down to El Salvador. She was one of those. And she actually declared that she would stay in El Salvador until that father in Maryland was released. And he was released back to America. And then they found out he had a rap sheet even a mile longer than they thought and had been smuggling and trafficking for years, documented now. And it's so funny how they don't talk about saving him anymore all of a sudden the last 3 weeks. But he's being reevaluated through the court system. He will be redeported as he should be, and he will go back to El Salvadorian prison with his white jumpsuit for the rest of his life with a shaved head. He'll be looking down on the ground, always in handcuffs and shackles, because that's how they do it in El Salvador. He can't even make eye contact when the cameras are there. So we are grateful that El Salvador's president is on it as well and believes in law and order, because it's safer there, it's safer here, it's safer for everyone, including our kids. And we will see you guys next week, I hope, on July 4th at Coronado Island for the parade. Look me up. And other than that, have a really great weekend. Have a beautiful Friday. Look forward to seeing you back here next Friday in California on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007 and Robert. We can take us out now. Thanks. So patient.